Delta Deep Dive, episode, The PPO That Never Was. The story the public heard was simple. A woman terrified, a man stalking her, a prosecutor stepping in to protect her. But the transcripts tell a different story. A stranger story. A story where the evidence collapses, the witnesses contradict themselves, and the justice system quietly signals that the stalking narrative was never real to begin with. The first hearing begins with something so unusual, the judge has to explain it out loud. A prosecutor is attending a PPO interview. That doesn't happen. Not in Michigan. Not anywhere. But Special Prosecutor Jeffrey Raj logs in anyway, and the judge immediately wants to know why. Kelly claims the misdemeanor stalking charge was dismissed because Raj was preparing a felony. But when the judge presses him, the truth spills out like a confession. He didn't file the felony because he didn't have time. He dismissed the misdemeanor because of a scheduling conflict. He hoped a PPO would fill the gap. The judge is stunned. He reminds everyone that a PPOs require immediate and irreparable harm. So he asks Kelly the most basic question. Did he ever threaten you? Her answer, no. Did he ever contact you? No. Did he ever communicate with you at all? No. Her entire case rests on Facebook posts Reed made on his own page, not directed at her, on him attending public meetings, on him parking too close, on him calling her names. The judge denies the PPO, and the prosecutor's presence suddenly looks less like protection and more like damage control. December 5th, 2023, the adjournment. The second hearing, in short, was explosive. Reed appears, Kelly appears, both ready to proceed, but then Kelly reveals something the judge never expected to hear in open court. She and the prosecutor had been texting about negotiating a PPO behind the scenes. She starts reading the message aloud until the judge stops her. The prosecutor and defense attorney were trying to craft a PPO without evidence, without a hearing, without judicial findings, a civil order as a substitute for criminal charges, a workaround, a back-channel deal. The judge adjourns the hearing, but the real unraveling is still ahead. January 24th, 2024, the full hearing. This is where the narrative collapses. Kelly takes a stand and immediately begins drowning in her own testimony. She tries to introduce a statement from witnesses who aren't present, emails from people who aren't in the court, police reports, letters, screenshots, her husband's written statement because he couldn't attend the hearing, her interpretations of a YouTube video, her belief Reed was drunk, her belief Reed carries knives, her belief he might harm her. Every attempt is shut down. The judge repeats the same line like a mantra. You can't cross-examine a piece of paper. You can testify to what you saw, not what someone else said. That is hearsay. But the most devastating moment comes when the judge asks, did he ever threaten you? Her answer, no. Did he ever communicate with you directly? Her answer, no. Did he ever message you? No. Did he ever approach you? No. And then she gives one of the most strangest reasons ever recorded in a PPO hearing. Reed called her a coven leader. Not a threat, not harassment, not stalking, an insult. And then comes the witnesses. The witnesses. David Adamini. Adamini is polite, careful, and ultimately useless to Kelly's case. He offers no threats, no danger, no stalking, just political tension and community gossip. Up next, Cheryl Corbiere. Cheryl offers impressions, feelings, and secondhand concerns, but no evidence, no threats, no contact, no stalking. Judy Lacoste. Judy's testimony is the most dramatic and the most revealing. She doesn't describe threats. She doesn't describe violence. She doesn't describe any conduct that meets the legal definition of stalking. But she does offer up one line, the line that exposes the entire case. He looks at her with a cruel eye. That's it. That's the evidence. Not a threat, not an action, not a message, not a pattern, just a feeling, a subjective interpretation of someone's facial expression. A PPO cannot be issued because someone looks at you wrong, and the judge knows it. Whitney Maloney. Whitney's testimony is emotional but not evidentiary. She describes fear, tension, and community conflict. But again, no threats, no contact, no stalking, Not one witness provides a single act that meets the legal definition of stalking. Not one. The judge's final assessment. After hours of testimony, the judge lays it out plainly. There is no threat. There is no immediate danger. There is no irreparable harm. There is no stalking. There is no harassment. There is no contact. There is no evidence. The PPO is denied. Again. And without the denial, the transcripts revealed the truth. This was never a stalking case. It was a political narrative, one that collapsed the moment it was forced into the light. The prosecutor improvising around deadlines, a petitioner unable to provide a single admissible fact, witnesses offering feelings instead of evidence, and a judge who saw through it all. The stalking charge was never supported by the facts. The PPO was never supported by the evidence, and the transcripts show exactly why. The question that remains is not whether Reed was a threat. The transcripts answer that clearly. The question is why the system moved against him at all, and who is pulling the levers behind the scenes. This is Delta Deep Dive. Part 3 is next.